Avalor. Welcome back to part 3 of our 3-part review of Coronation Day. We left off just after Esteban's confrontation with his abuelos and Kahu, turning them into stone. We learned that the Shades have been playing Esteban. Now let's talk about what the Amigos are up to. Ooh.
All right. So we're going to start with the Migos, and much to Mateo's chagrin, they have to go hide in his mom's basement again. And it's pretty funny how the real world Mateo does not want to hide in his mom's basement compared to the AU Mateo, who says it's a lot nicer than it sounds. But it's also another nice throwback to the Secret of Avalor, where Mateo had to hide in the basement to even learn magic because it was illegal back then. And the Amigos are defeated and at a loss once they arrive. And the only thing sad boy Mateo can think to do is to call Zuzo and ask about his girlfriend, Elena.
Sorry?
I can't believe you put this in.
Really, Georgia? You can't believe I put that in?
Okay, I can't believe it, but I did not expect it. I almost spit my coffee.
I mean, it's kind of true.
It's the final review. Let Becky have the moment.
Let me have my moment.
Oh, of course, girl.
Just kidding. Okay, so back to the ball game. Elena has an epiphany. We see Grandma cawing about the highest of heights and the lowest realm, and Elena remembers what Zuzo said about how Grandma doesn't always say what he means or mean what he says, and so she decides to throw the game because she realizes that the highest of heights is actually the spirit world, while the lowest realm is the real world. And they were actually competing to see who gets to stick around and be the guest of honor at the Eternal Spirit Rave. Yay! Ash is so not pleased. Also, I found it highly amusing that Zopaloti decided that she was now his greatest disappointment.
I love kind of dad.
He really is the evil dad.
My greatest disappointment.
Right?
Can we talk about how Ash's strive to be the very best and never be put down by anyone was her undoing? That obsession she had with being the winner and being, never beaten. That was what eventually was her defeat.
You're
like,
right.
She abandoned her family for that. She turned against Avalor. She chased down the Malvago that destroyed her life in the first place and told her to teach her. And that eventually is what got her beaten and stuck in the spirit world.
Yes.
And I find that such a good defeat. It's so in character.
It is, and that is so such a really fascinating, deeper meaning. Her drive to win. She won. Oh, she won. But yeah, she's not where she wants to be.
Sometimes you strive for something, you think you need something really bad, but that thing may just not be for you, and you just lose everything actually mattering in the process.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Elena never loses track of her family. No matter how many bad decisions she may have made, she never became so blinded. She lost track of her family and friends, her kingdom, and that also contrasts Elena's mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really good. That's well played, crew.
Absolutely. All right. So going back to Grand Macaw's way of not meaning what he says or saying what he means, Kika, do you have any insight into that personality trait?
Yes, I do. So, and it actually culminates again with the ball game itself. As soon as Zuzo said, Grandma Ka doesn't always mean what he says, I was like, oof. It's the winner that's gonna really get it, but that means we gotta clarify what sacrifice was in Mesoamerican culture. So it's a very popular fact that yes, there was human sacrifice. But do know that it wasn't very often. The circumstance and the sacrifice one had to be of importance. Mostly it was high-ranking prisoner of war that was sacrificed, and sometimes it was just a self-sacrifice where someone pricked their skin. So it depended, and it wasn't all the time. It just always had to be like a very very dependent on something.
Mhm.
So
So it wasn't the winner of the game? So it was
yeah.
never the
So in Aluma, sometimes it was the loser, sometimes no one got killed, or the winners were sacrificed. Because in the view of the ball game, in the end, it's the god's game. It's a divine right to play in it. So to win was an honor. So in context with Grandma Ka's vanity, it made more sense that the winner of the ultimate olive ball game was going to get the short end of the stick. Ash won, quote unquote, the honor of partying with GM in the spirit world and had to sacrifice her time in the living world. It's just so funny to have something with such like it's law and history, and it influenced the point in the finale. It was just chef's kiss, honestly. Like, it's so amazing. I'm like, I had no idea. And I would probably be like, it's gonna be something dark, like she's got to like give her magic. And I'm like, no,
Yes.
no, it's still a sacrifice. So
She gives up her life, technically.
she gives technically. So yeah, there you go. That's a reference in of itself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Holy moly. Holy moly.
Right? Oh, man. It makes me wonder what the implications of having a living person, like, is she going to spend out her days in the spirit world? Is she now a spirit? Is she immortal now? Like, what does that even mean? Like, I know they're never going to, like, tell us, but, like, imagine the possibilities.
I mean, are they going to go down a roller coaster with Croc?
Oh, God.
I totally gave up. Ash, raise your hands in the air.
Give that woman a party sombrero.
Oh, yeah.
I love that cartoon. This lever.
And Tom Rogers told us in that interview so long ago, and we had no idea.
The ad kickers meme into this.
Yes.
With your hands up. Oh, yes. Okay.
Pull the lever, Grandma Ka. Oh, wrong lever. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's just that. That's exactly how it's gonna go, and there's nothing.
It's genius.
And this was just honestly such a great way to have like a final showdown with Ash. Sure, it's not as dramatic as some people were hoping, but I thought it broke up the high tempo battle scenes really, really nicely and gave Elena the closure she needed by having this bonding experience with her parents. She left them behind with the words, "You will make us proud," in her ears. Ugly crying. Oh my God, the
Beautiful.
feels. Why you do this to us?
Right.
Do I know I'll make them proud?
Mm-hmm.
If that's the last thing that she ever hears from them until she meets them again, it's just like the best thing to hold on to.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Coronation Day.
Yeah. A nice throwback to Elena's song back in Jewel of Maru about how she hopes.
I was just thinking that as well.
I just said it.
Yeah. And I also really liked how Elena defeated her enemy this time, and I mean, without actually like, I mean, yes, I guess Ash joins the Elena Victims Club, but or Elena Casualty Club, but also not like she didn't actually like blast her or do anything violent. She just outwitted
She's literally
her.
the Avatar.
Yeah,
Avatar Elena.
It was great.
We would only have so many Elena victims.
Right.
Elena is finally back from the spirit world, and the cavalry arrives again. And they're glad to see her all safe and sound because they have been so worried without her. And the amazing part is also not only the Amigos and Isabel arrive, but we also have the Vallestrea Saquins and the Sunbirds. It's just so many beautiful guests from all over the seasons, and oh gosh, so many guest stars. Yeah, so finally you have the whole team assembled all over again and ready to fight back and get Avalor back into order. Yeah, and that's where Elena realizes that, hey, I have made some mistakes, but I can do this. I can go on. And cue the music. You got an amazing split screen duet called Never Too Late
The song we never saw
Elena.
coming.
Yeah, actually, I had hoped so bad there would be an emotional song between the cousins, and I was so. But I was trying to keep my hopes low, so I will not be disappointed. But oh my god, I was not. You got this amazing song between Elena and Esteban. Esteban is in his throne all alone. He realizing that he has made all the mistakes, he can turn back now. And while Elena is hopeful for the future about changing things, Esteban realizes that hey, I'm at my lowest point, and it's just too late for me to do something. I have been a coward. I have been hurting people, and I will always be known as the person who is basically the villain that breaks him. But Alina jumps in the, talks with her friends, makes a master plan to defeat the Sades once and for all. Naomi suggests that they use their powers against them, and Elena is determined to finally make everything right again. So it's never too late, as he says, as he jumps into her Darkwing and goes out to finally save her kingdom and be coronated a queen. As Esteban is actually crumbling on his throne, realizing that he has nothing left.
Yes, and I really loved how Naomi suggested using the powers against the Shades, but also, and then Mateo was like, oh, and I have a few ideas. And then he gives her the scepter, which to me was just really powerful. And it was one of those full circle moments for them that it made my heart really happy.
Oh, you're right, because he's the one handing him his tamborita in the Magic Within song.
And in Spirit of a Wizard, when he was just like, done. Where she had basically said, I don't know if we can win, but we have to try, and I think you should too. Which is kind of what the theme of this song is. Like, she realizes that I have to try again. It's not too late. So I thought that was a really cool, like, tied in, like, their whole arc. It's really nice.
They're always there to pick each other up.
Yes. And so that was just a really beautiful, just the whole thing was beautiful. And then Elena goes and stands on her Jacqueline, and I just thought that was a safety hazard, okay?
It's kind of reminiscent of my time, but this time she's not overconfident. She knows what she can do and what she can't do. She realizes she has made mistakes.
Yes.
She knows that, hey, I'm going to try my best. I just won't give up. That's the worst thing I could possibly do. And it's such a good parallel. She has grown so much.
Yes.
And it shows throughout the way the cinematography is. You start with down shots on her and how she starts saying like, I made so many mistakes, but as she starts saying like, I'm ready to to fix them and learn from them, the shots, they go up, and it shows her being high, and like that final soar in the sky, like as they soar to the sky, the shot pulls back and it's just her like just so confident. I just really like how the cinematography was, and I think also, I don't know who pointed out like the cinematography, the storyboard, how Elena and Esteban, how it switched between the two, especially with the fountain. With Esteban looking down in the fountain, and he's on the left, and then it fades to Elena on the right. But if you just pause perfectly, it's both of them together singing, and so
beautiful.
Great transition.
Absolutely.
I think that's because they parallel each other in a way, and it's actually they're both contrasting and paralleling each other throughout the show, and that's the moment you see it clearly. Like, they have a lot of the same ideas and aspirations and everything, but they have a really different approach. And Esteban now is the pessimist of the situation, while Elena is the one standing back up.
And also, I think the parallel of Esteban being alone and Elena surrounded by everyone that, most of her loved ones supporting her and lifting her up and having her back. That's just a really stark contrast anyway. It's really interesting. So as this amazing, incredible song concludes, we get to the city and we see the Sunbirds go to antagonize YOLO, I believe. And so that was really fun watching them fly through the city streets. And then we see, and so that ends up in YOLO and Vuli, having a little argument of their own, which was really funny. Vuli is hot-headed, to say the least. But Mateo, we see he seriously pulls out all the stops, and he has proven time and time again, and it's really like shown in this last scene, how he is a true master wizard, and his spell casting has been taken to the next step, to the next level, and we just see a really impressive display of his skills throughout the movie. And so this time we see him cast a spell on Gabe's sword, which I don't know about you guys, but my first thought was lightsaber.
Absolutely. My Star Wars heart was like, oh my goodness.
Yes.
It made the sound.
Yes. And it turns out that the spell on the sword turned it into like a sword of paralysis +1 or something, and so I just thought that was incredible. Not only just the spell itself, but when you compare it to the fact that Ixalan has like godlike magic, that she couldn't even touch Vuli. Like, he was just like, haha, that tickles. And Mateo's spell paralyzed the guy. So, like, just incredible. Go, Mateo!
Something I loved also throughout like this part of the fight was just these little nods, and these little like hints of character dynamics as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, nod number one with YOLO going, look, pig, donkey, dog. Oh my!
Wizard of Oz was so funny. I saw that too.
Right, this was what it was. Yes, the Easter egg.
His little face. He goes, "Oh my!" and he just holds his cheeks.
So cute.
So funny.
And then the Sunbirds like kind of like making fun of him, like joking around. I really loved how like they're not just these like beings of like wisdom out of touch with like humanity. No. These guys know how to have a good time and how to like, they know what to have fun. So there's also that, and
They're
then
fun worms.
yeah, they're fun worms.
I'm so left to watch there.
I'm a little curious now. I kind of wish YOLO might have turned one of them into one just to see what a fun worm looked like.
Right.
But I mean, a fun worm. I mean, maybe it's
They are fun worms.
They are fun worms.
WYRM. They're worm with a Y.
Worm with a Then lastly, one of my favorite openings in the series is from Finders Leapers with the Jacquins with Skylar taking Migs' coconuts and throwing it around with Luna. And so you kind of get that call back when Migs lifts Wooly into the sky, and Wooly's like you don't want to mess with me, and then Migs just like okay, and he drops him, and he's already part of the fun. He drops Wooly, and here comes Skylar. He catches Wooly, and then he goes, "Here you go, Luna," and just like in Final Sleepers when she missed the coconuts, she goes, "Oops." And so intentionally misses catching Wooly, and Wooly just face plants, cartoon style, straight up into the ground.
Yes.
He's literally 2D come to life.
Amazing.
The sound effect that came with it, perfect.
Yes.
Thank God.
And then the leaping stag. So I feel like this is also full circle because Gabe finally has a moment to really shine with his sword work, and we get to see him do his winning move, or Elena's winning move, that helped her win the fencing competition. And you get to see him use it this time too to freeze one of the shades of awesome, and he succeeds. And it was just a
Yes.
really good Gabe moment to see his effort and see how much he's improved in the years, and I just really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. It's always really satisfying when we get to see Gabe shine, because a lot of times, like, we know he's a great swordsman and we know that he's just a really wonderful guard, but man, poor guy. It's really hard when you are a melee fighter up against a bunch of cheating magic users. So I really loved that they gave him a way that he could, like, he has magic, he knows how to use a tambourina now, but he did not have to do that. He was able to do things the Gabe way. So I love it. He was the Gabe. He's the Gabe. The OG Gabe.
One true Gabe.
Yes. Yes, the one true Gabe.
Sword.
The one to rule them all. Sorry. Okay.
I would watch Lord of the Rings with the Elena of Avalor
Oh my
characters,
God.
I'm not gonna lie.
Oh man, we need that AU. So that brings us to Mateo, my son, badass wizard Mateo. He has a spell, apparently. He says he has a spell that can banish the spirits back to the spirit world. And this is something that the Maruvians couldn't do without destroying themselves, by the way. And I loved everything about this moment. I loved the way they animated his face. First of all, he looked so mature. And it was very deliberate. He was determined. And compare that to the first time he faced a Malvago back in Spellbound. And, he won by accident. But this time, no, he knew what he was doing. And then I also felt like he channeled some serious Elena energy here, because usually he's the calculating one. He's the voice of reason. He's like, oh, maybe it's not worth the risk. But he literally is just like, all right, everyone stand back, because either this is going to send them back to the spirit world or it's going to send us. And as Elena, again, is the one protesting, so we have this full circle thing again, he just goes and does it. Like, he's like, nope, I'm going to do it. And he casts that 3-hit spell, and you can see it takes a lot of energy, and but it succeeds. It drains a lot out of him. He falls to the ground. But I also thought it was interesting, and spoiler alert for a point that we're going to come to in just a little bit, but I wanted to mention that I thought it was really interesting that it took both Elena and Esteban's magic combined to take one spirit back, but Mateo was able to send 2 back with his spell. So I just thought that was really interesting, showing his growth as a wizard. And it makes me wonder, like, looking back to the magic within, when Elena's angry magic was too strong for Mateo to dispel back then, I wonder if he might be able to do something about that now. Anyway, I just thought that was fascinating, and as a Mateo stan, I couldn't be prouder of my boy.
And immediately following that, we see up top the boys of Avalor having a high five, but Kahoo! She turned them to stone, and Elena immediately yells, no! So Elena is back in rage mode, but this time it's for a good reason. I mean, her boys just got petrified.
Yeah.
Her boys.
Although they do make a beautiful statue.
Oh, the best.
Move over, statue of David.
Oh, goodness. I bet Gabe has better pecs.
He does.
But seriously, that if they just, now we forever have the best bro high five in history.
Mm-hmm.
Moralized in plaque.
Eternally left hanging.
Right.
This one for the garden.
Oh my god.
But also, unfortunately, Elena also discovers Kahoo's time slow powers. Oh god, does this remind anyone else of those nightmares where you are running and you're trying to like punch or hit and everything is just slow motion?
Oh, I hate those dreams.
Definitely.
It was
I
Oh,
think
so.
it's meant for when you're sleeping. I think it's so you don't like punch or like fall in bed. I think that's why it's all slowed down. I think.
Yeah.
I'm not a neurologist, but I think that's what I've read somewhere.
Oh man, I hate that feeling though. Those are like the worst.
Like trying to punch and it's just like, why are my arms working?
Right? And you can't get away and
And then it continues with a high-speed chase through Avalor City. And I just think the sequence was really well done, just the animation and the pace and the setting. And it was just really intense as you're just watching all this happen. And you're like, this is the final battle. And you're like, oh, what's she going to do? How is she going to get out of this mess? And it was really well done.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And we make it back to the palace, and Elaine, Skylar gets turned to stone. We see, which is just awful. Like they fall out of the sky together, and Elena nearly falls off the bridge, and. Oh man, I almost expected there to be a like "Long Live the Queen" like moment, like from Lion King. Thank goodness that didn't happen. She got up before Kahu could come and cause any more trouble at that second. But she bursts into the palace courtyards, and it's the sight that meets her is just horrifying. Stone palace stuff everywhere. Though I have to say I really appreciated the fact that Armando seemed to be leading the charge of guards with a rolling pin. So kudos to Armando. He's awesome.
Brave boy.
The bravest of us all. But seriously, Elena is cornered by Kahu. And Esteban comes and see because he hears, I think he hears her yell Blaze. And I think it's really interesting that where he's watching from, it seems to be the same vantage point that Elena had watching Shariki go after her parents.
Right? And that's absolutely intentional, like the whole framing and how Elena was being attacked, and she did not have the chance to, did not have the chance to save her parents, but now Esteban is there, and he's faced with a difficult decision. He has to act now, or Elena will be turned to stone, and so all the hope for Avalor will be lost forever. And that's when it starts dawning to him that he has nothing left to lose, while Elena has everything to lose. She has a family, she has friends, she has her kingdom, and she's the only one who can do something about the mess he has created. And plus, he probably can't stand watching her facing facing the same fate that her parents did because of him. So it's an incredible parallel, in my opinion. You can see his expressions changing as he gives it a thought. Hey, can I do something? Oh no, maybe it won't work. But then you see him furrowing his eyebrows and looking determined. And for a moment, you focus back on Elena's face, her terrified expression as she's about to be frozen in stone. And that's when Esteban jumps in because of his staff's power and takes the freaking bullet for Elena. And Elena gasps in that moment. It's so powerful. The way Amy's voice acting is incredible in this part as he calls out for him. And a single tear, he has tears in his eyes as he whispers with his final breath, "I am sorry." And, he did in Dreamcatchers too, but this time it was with no hope of coming back or being forgiven. It was just the last thing he wanted to tell her, that he regrets everything. And hey, it was kind of a testament of love, like, hey, I still care, and I am sorry. I can't do anything more. And that's where he gets turned into stone completely, and Elena is shocked. She's heartbroken. There's that moment. At that moment, she gets closer to him. She has tears in her eyes, and she cradles up to him. She touches a stone and everything. Like she touches his face, trying to take it all in, and with that, and contemplating on his sacrifice, she whispers that she forgives him,
Oh,
and
it's so
Even
beautiful.
with this scene is just so sad because like as you see, there's like her crying and the sky's black above her and it's like looking up at her face and then dun 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 she forgives him and like there's this magical Disney princess moment
Yes.
where her white dress transformation is just like the magic spirals around her and like it's just this like massive transformation and the music everything about this scene screams Beauty and the Beast. Like the music is incredible, the light coming back to the people turning back to normal, and also like the light across the kingdom. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. The crew, they just really know their stuff, and we are just so grateful that they are just so talented.
Absolutely. And that point was actually confirmed by our buddy James, right? That was actually meant
James
to be.
Garcia,
Mhm.
woohoo!
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
it
So,
was inspired by the transformation scene in Beauty and the Beast. Yeah.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That, I mean, there's definitely that. I mean, even the trumpets, like I
Yeah.
screamed, Alan Menken, is that you? Like, oh my gosh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, and also how Elena's dress is white now, and
Mhm.
white is the presence of all colors.
Absolutely.
So
All
like instead of
reflected.
doing rainbows. Yeah, the purity, the having a soul that is clean and light and pure, and being all right with yourself, with your inner emotions. Oh,
Absolutely.
feels so well.
It's beautiful. Yes. And so Esteban's back. And we get this emotional scene, this emotional payoff that we have been waiting for forever. And yes, and so basically Esteban's just like, what happened? And Elena explains it's her emotional magic. And he questions, what emotion is that? Like, he just can't believe that this is happening. And she says, forgiveness. And she
Most
talks.
beautiful things she's ever felt.
Yes, it's the strongest emotion she's ever felt. And I am literally getting emotional, like, talking about it right now. Like, it's just absolutely beautiful. And, I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's just, like, my heart.
His like just his voice going, what emotion? Like
Yeah.
he didn't even know yet. Like what happened? It's so hard.
Listen.
And then I just remembered this because earlier the sound of Elena's voice before he teleported to the balcony, the way it was shot, how it transitioned from Elena going blaze and it just zooms in on immediately on Esteban on the throne. Like the whole time he's just down and depressed, and it's her voice that like wakes him up and gets him moving. So I at least that's how I interpreted like the way it was shot. Like it's that hope, because he thought he's lost everything, but no, he still has Elena, and then follow with him to the balcony, and they then follow with what Georgia said and about seeing like he still has Elena and making the sacrifice. So yeah, that was
So real.
So powerful.
so many feels.
Yes.
Forgiveness. Can you imagine? Okay. Yeah, just so many feelings.
Yes.
And that's one of my favorite parts here because it's actually animated so well. You can see every single frame and every single emotion as Kaho goes for Elena. And she says, "What is done cannot be outdone." And like she's just shocked by how her magic was destroyed just by the simple words that Elena uttered, and she can't get, because she's all about time, stopping time, and time moving forward, and she can't possibly take in the possibility that her magic not only was broken, but Elena is forgiving all of Esteban's sins. And that at that moment you see Esteban contemplating what is said, that, oh, this is too good to be true. There is no chance I can take everything back, even if I am forgiven. I can't do right by my family. And you see his expression falling from what it was before, but then Elena looks at him. At that little moment, it's a split second, and then back to Kahu as he touches his back with her hand, and that's where Esteban perks up a bit. He realizes that Elena is actually behind him and listening, and she's got his back. Yeah, she actually stands by him. He for a moment he looks afraid that Elena will be like, oh, all right, you're right. I don't know why I've forgiven Esteban or something. He looks that soft, like Elena is going to regret this. Elena is not going to forgive me. He still can't believe it, and you can see that in the change of his expressions. But Elena steps forward, and apparently with the right magic, she can actually unfreeze everyone, because she exclaims that we may not be able to change the past, but if we change ourselves and become better, we can change the future.
Yes.
And we can change our fate, and it's so powerful. Her magic just she overwhelms the entire how do you find a word about that? It's like spreads towards the entirety of Avalor, healing everyone, destroying the magic of the Sades. Alonso is back. He's back to his full princely form. Armando and the guards and the staff are back. Armando still has his rolling pin too, and just everything is about turned back to normal. And
Yes.
Kahu just can't. He's losing it. We got news for you, honey. You're not matched for this pair of cousins right
Right?
now.
Oh man.
Yeah, but I just love so much in this scene how much Esteban, how much insight we have to Esteban's thought process. From hey, maybe hey, I'm forgiven, to oh wait, this is too good to be true. Elena is going to regret this, and I'm not. There's still no way I can turn back after everything I've done. And then Elena touches his shoulder, and he's like, oh, Elena still has my back, and then she defends him, and it's so good. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And then we see that Kahu may have seen this incredible display of power, but she's still not shaken. She's still confident, and she is not going down without a fight. She goes for Elena. And this part, I screamed, because Esteban grabs the scepter and he's ready to throw it to her, and then it glows in his hand. He could use it, and that was just like, oh my god.
We didn't see it coming.
Did
We
not
never saw that coming.
did not I don't know. I mean, he has magic inside him, but I did not see that coming. Like, whoa. And yes, and apparently he's been paying attention to all the times when Elena's probably nearly hit him with that blaze spell, which remember back in Spirit Monkey business. Anyway, Blaze. He uses the spell. He knocks Kahu down, and it breaks the hourglass. And we see, as mentioned before, that kind of takes away her hovery magic, and she can't walk because she's probably been floating around in the clouds for a long time. But once again, she's not going down without that fight, and she tries to crawl over to the sand grains. And yeah, it doesn't go well for her.
Oh gosh, I love so much how they switched weapons there. How they yeah, Elena takes hold of Esteban's staff, and she's like, "Oh right, I'm gonna send if if we can defeat you, then we are going to send you to the spirit world. I'm going to send you to the spirit world myself." And that's when Esteban stops her, and he's like, no, the stuff is not so powerful. That's actually something that we have seen in the past. How big of jumps he can do. He can't do that big of a distance. He can make that big of a distance. So Elena suggests that if they combine their magic to go to the spirit world and back, maybe it can work. And Esteban agrees. And so they take hold of the staff, and they actually get there. Yeah. So that's when they disappear in front of everyone's eyes, and Armando exclaims that Elena and Esteban saved them, to which Luisa, who is in the courtyard along with Francisco after being frozen, exclaims Esteban in disbelief, like she can't believe he actually is back to Elena's side helping. Yeah, that was great, and I love how it's actually the whole teamwork part is actually a parallel to Secret of Avalor. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about that when when Becky described that. But yeah, there's a whole parallel about Esteban throwing Suriki's wand
Yes.
to throwing Suriki's wand to Elena, but this time he was about to throw her scepter to Elena, but he showed he could actually do something, and it's a parallel to him throwing the responsibility to Elena, even helping her, but taking a second place to her and expecting her to take the lead and save them, to him actually actively protecting her and protecting Avalor by expansion.
Yes.
Yeah, that was that was such a big moment of growth, and it also showed how Elena trusted him with her scepter. Of course, you could claim that she had no other choice, but it signifies that hey, she truly believes in him now. She truly forgives him. Yeah, and also it's a good parallel to all the other small teamwork moments they have. They culminate to this big moment. Like you got them working together in King of the Carnaval, and they work really well together. One giving directions and the other actually moving the float. They combining their diplomatic skills in royal rivalry. Esteban admitting, oh wait, no, that's for another part. Cut this out. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I feel like everything, every single bit of the relationship just boils down to these scenes we are talking about right now.
Absolutely.
So yeah, they come back from the spirit world, and damn, it drains them. They look exhausted as they're on the floor.
So, I guess this is where I chime in
Say
with
it.
a deep dive. I'll try not to be too deep, but a dive into how these two, especially throughout the series, have been a reflection of the Mayan Hero twins. When we found out Grandma Ka's name on that article, I threw out the idea that Elena and Esteban could be the child version of the Hero twins. But over time, I started to put my clown wig on, thinking it wasn't going to happen. How fast I snatched that off when Elena and Esteban came together to save the day. So to understand this, we got to do a deep dive into the Hero twins and how they relate with these two cousins. For one, character. So the Mayan Hero twins' heroism is rewarded with their ascension into the sky to become the sun and the moon. Hanapao is sometimes referred to as Jaguar Sun, so sun, and Xpalanque is depicted more feminine and associated with the rabbit, and a rabbit is actually associated with the goddess of the moon, Ixchel, who also represents a rainbow. So you can kind of guess who is who when it comes to a certain pair of cousins here. Esteban the sun, Elena the moon. But the cousins are a take on also the balance the hero twins represent in mythology. Light and dark, day and night, good and bad. You can't have one without the other. There always has to be that duality, yin yang, and it's seen throughout all these different mythologies and religions throughout the world. It's a constant theme. But here you also see that sometimes one quality can help influence the other. You guys have discussed, and like we did earlier, how Elena and Esteban's personalities contrast, but they also exhibit similarities, especially when it comes to how they deal with emotions. And so there is that balance, and sometimes each one influences the other, and that's how they relate very well to the hero twins in character. Which leads me to number 2, and chime in whenever you guys want, like if you want more detail on something. go further on a point. But this, which leads me to number 2, the story. Through studying theology, I learned that the important texts in different religions are like guidelines on how to be a good person and then deal with change. The Popol Vuh and Elena of Avalor are not that different. Sometimes during challenges the Death Lords had the twins go through, one twin would end up having to save the other. Sometimes they had to sacrifice themselves, much like how Esteban sacrificed himself to save Elena, to put others' needs before yourself. In every challenge, the twins had to work together to move to their next goal. So Elena and Esteban not only combined their powers to stop Kahu, but also had to come to a realization in order to take the next step in healing their relationship. There's a version of the Popol Vuh that the Maiz god and his brother faced the Death Lord's challenges first and lost, to which the hero twins learned from the past mistakes and their own mistakes and took on the Death Lords themselves in order to win. So it shows how much Elena and Esteban have learned from their mistakes, just like how the hero twins had to learn from past mistakes, whether from their parents or whether from themselves. This is why I have to really applaud the exceptional character development and the arcs we got throughout the series, because it just shows how mythology, history can influence stories, and not only teaching the next generation about history and the mythology and all these different little details, but also teaching them how to propel themselves forward as people. And I can go on forever about this, but that's my take on how the hero twins relate to Elena and Esteban. So yeah, Elena and Esteban are the hero twins of Avalor. Or the hero cousins.
I love that.
That's amazing, and you just made me realize something. I don't know, I'm asking for your opinion. But like, remember the Family Treasure episode?
Yes.
With Antonio Gama and his brother Pablo, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the thing with this episode is that we have that moment that we all assumed was foreshadowing, and it seems so. How Elena says, I hope you don't mean that, when Pablo suggests that it was Antonio's mistake, that he got in trouble, and, you know, he wouldn't do something to help him. Wait, what was it? It was like, yeah, it was like, your brother's in danger, and he was like, yeah, but he's at fault for that. He made that mistake. He
brought that on himself or something. Yeah.
He brought that on himself, right? That's the exact line. And that's where Elena gasps and is like, I hope you don't mean that. And throughout the show, you have, actually not throughout the show, but actually throughout the show, you got Elena and Esteban having that kind of sibling-like bond, them batting heads a lot, and Esteban being like the jealous of older sibling that wants to prove to his grandparents that he's better, or that that Elena is immature, and also in the latter episode, you got Elena thinking of Esteban as her brother, as it was revealed in the flashbacks and the trial. So how does that tie with Family Treasure? So you got that moment, and also you got how Antonio and Pablo are able to get over their differences by working together and realizing that you got one brother that is the loved one that everyone listens to. Their mother actually listened to him and paid him more attention, while the other felt neglected. He was the one making mistakes and being, wilder, being the one that seeked attention. And I feel these two were kind of a foreshadowing, and then you added the part about the moon and the sun. And do you remember how they had these little marble balls that they used?
The dark one,
the Georgia.
Yeah.
Oh, Georgia, mind blown. Holy hey.
Right? It's not on me, it's on the crew. That's so clever.
Clever. The sun and the moon marbles and their spirit. Oh, wow. Awesome. That's interesting. Super.
This episode was so much more important than one would think.
See, there is no such thing as a filler episode. They all have something to contribute to the story, I think.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I never believed in a filler episode.
No.
That's something I learned in Star Wars.
No.
There's always something there.
Absolutely.
You got at least a little bit of character development or some foreshadowing or parallels. You always have something to offer to the story.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, I just think all of that just is so satisfying and incredible to see the culmination of this huge arc between Elena and Esteban, and seeing what kind of incredible symbolism it has as it relates to mythology. That's very, very cool. But now, light and peace and joy is being restored to the land.
Oh gosh,
And
it's been a while back, but it's so satisfying.
yes.
What's peace like?
I know, right?
It's difficult to believe after all we've been through.
Yeah.
Yeah, she finally gets a reunion with her familia and the amigos, and there's sweet hugs all around. And of course, Danya finally gets the coronation back on track.
Donya really
Oh,
is a good party planner.
Oh, I love her. She had some really good growth this season.
She did. And unfortunately, she kind of blew it back there. But you know what? Donya's Donya. She's had growth, but she is still fundamentally Doña Paloma. And I love her that way. So,
of course.
But we move on. Finally, it's the moment we've all been waiting for. Da, 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 the coronation. All hail the queen. Enter Elena, and oh my gosh, look at her dress. Her hair, her gloves, that royal robe, baby Jacqueline's. Oh my god, I'm ugly crying already. Again. So, beautiful. The procession was just, it gave me chills, it made me laugh and cry, and it was just beautiful.
Pure perfection.
Seeing all them there.
Mm-hmm.
Every single person, is literally everybody's here from Smash Bros. But
Yeah.
I mean, we got that epic part earlier with everybody's here. Let's fight. Now it's everybody's here. Let's party. And just seeing you get that impact of look at these characters. It wasn't just Elena. There's all these other characters who had to go through certain arcs, and some have helped Elena, some Elena has helped, and it just shows the impact that one person can have on so many people. So yeah, I just really like that feeling of you may not think you have impact, but you have friends, you have family, you have every person you meet. There's someone who's gonna be left a mark from you because you did something for them, or they did something for you. There's that connection, so it's really cool to see that.
As Kika said, there were so many people there, and of course, what better coronation day would be without a cameo, and a little one at that, but they're definitely there for Cinderella and Belle.
Yes.
Just like they were at first day ready to rule, first day of rule. It was really cool to see that full circle. And as another Easter egg that's coming up in just a couple seconds, I'll mention now, is Sophia the First.
Yes.
And what a gorgeous surprise. We did a poll on Twitter to say, do you guys think she'll be there? And I was just 80% yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just how are they going to animate her? Are they going to put her in? And then it was just so awesome to see. She arrived late, and I was just oh my god, there she is, and Amber and James and Mum and Dad. I'm oh my god, yes, they had to do it. And it was just done so well. Yay!
Yes. Absolutely. I thought that was just so cool. We love those Easter eggs. So, and yeah, and I love how Sophia showed up right as the crown was about to go on Elena's head, and they stop everything because the royal family of Enchantia arrived, which I thought was great. It was awesome. So, and I totally understand why they couldn't show up earlier, because then they would have had to write her in, because there's no way Sophia would have just sat around and let all of this stuff happen without joining the fight. So
Absolutely. She protects this world.
yes. So, but Francisco crowns her, and it's just so fitting after he was the one who told her all the way back in episode 1 that she wasn't ready to rule. She still had things to learn. And now he proved, like, he was the one whose approval I think that she was looking for the most. And now he gave her that blessing, that approval, and proved that he truly believed that she was ready to rule. And so he places that crown on her head, and everyone, it's just such a beautiful moment. And then directly after that, Armando he does that little that twinkle toes thing that he did also when he did when he crowned her crown princess. So he does that twinkle toes thing, which is hilarious. I love it. But he says it's time for the queen to pick her first dance, or to dance her first dance, which I think they set this coronation up a lot like a wedding. I thought that was really interesting. Like everything from the planning and the Bridezilla stuff a few episodes ago to just the whole agenda of it. And I thought that was really fun. Elena's getting married to her kingdom. So I thought it was really interesting how we have another throwback to First Day of Rule, because Elena completely just disregards the official agenda. Armando says, it's time for this. Like back in First Day of Rule, he's like, all right, do you swear to, defend the Kingdom of Avalor? And she's like, yeah, about that. I have some other stuff I need to talk about first. So this time he's like, it's time to dance your first dance. And Elena's like, nah, dancing can wait. I have some promotions to hand out.
And so this is the time she walks up to Naomi, takes her hands into her own, and with a hopeful smile she says, Naomi, will you be my actually, sorry. She says, Naomi, before everything, I need to know something. And that comes as a shock to Naomi, of course. Her parents are behind her, all proud for her. And Naomi's like, but I'm not just the girl from the board, a chancellor, oh my god. And that's when she turns to Doña and Esteban, and like Doña is smiling. Of course, it doesn't seem to have any objection to that. She looks happy, but it is Esteban that actually gives kind of a grin. She doesn't just smile. He has that really bright smile, and he nods to her, yeah, he wants that for her. She's the best choice for that position. And I think that's actually a really, really great conclusion to their shaky dynamic all these years. Like they started with Esteban objecting to her even being in the Grand Council and saying her opinion, to them respecting each other, and even Naomi knows best. Where everyone was rushing because they wanted the kingdom protected. He did not have any malice towards Naomi. Even when Skylar suggested that Elena makes Naomi chancellor, Esteban was like, let's not be too hasty. But he did not object to Naomi herself becoming chancellor as much as to him losing his power and possibly not being listened to. He doesn't know. But now he has peace with himself. He does not need this position to be part of his family or do good by Elena. And anyway, Naomi, and so he nods to Naomi, and that's when Naomi turns back to Elena and she exclaims, yes, and now she is officially Chancellor of Avalor, with her bright ideas and her wit and her quick thinking, her devotion by Elena and the kingdom, and wanting to do right by them. She finally takes this position, and it's a beautiful end to her arc. As the girl who had never had a home, moving around, finally she has a home in Avalor, and from a bored girl that did not have any experience with diplomacy, she finally can put those bright ideas of her to use and help Avalor to prosper as a kingdom by Elena's side. It's so good. Oh goodness, I love that moment. All right, it was one of the best character arcs.
Yes.
I can
Actually, I
just
love all the
imagine.
character arcs, but yeah.
I'm just imagining Georgia with this big grin on her face right now.
Oh gosh, I have a live reaction and I was screaming at that part. I'm like, oh my gosh, give me some conclusion. Give me like Esteban acknowledging that she's becoming chancellor and she's okay with this. And I'm like, yes! All right.
Vacation.
Yeah, it was great. I love that part.
So then Elena moves to Gabe. General Gabe, woohoo! From
Yes.
captain to general, boy deserves it. But honestly, makes us wonder what the heck the military rank structure is like in Avalor, because in America, you just get like 4 ranks and a Congress hearing.
Yeah, but
Okay.
Prime was a bigger rank too.
Yeah, I had to include that part because I'm an army wife, and so like captain to general is like a huge step. Plus, you have to be like sworn in by Congress and all this other stuff. It's crazy. So, yay, General
The
Gabe!
Congress.
Go Gabe!
Elena is the law in these lands.
That's
Yes.
right.
Is law.
Yes, exactly. So yeah. Anyway, yay, Gabe. So then she moves on to Master Royal Wizard Mateo, and I love this. I love all of it. I love all the character arcs, honestly. But of course, I've had a soft spot for Mateo from the very beginning. And I love her line here where she's just like, we've been through so much together, you and I. And I mean, it's true. He was there the moment she stepped out of that amulet. And he was this unsure, shy, awkward kid. He's still a little awkward, but, you know, in a fun way. But who didn't know. Like, he'd been studying magic, but he wasn't confident in it. He couldn't cast spells with regularity. He was an apprentice to himself. But now he's grown over the last 4 years, and he has reached that level. Master Royal Wizard, and he deserves it. And it's beautiful. And, you know, he's also a Master Wizard who really wants to dance with his best friend, which is just adorable. And I love his persistence here, but Elena still has unfinished business to take care of.
He's actually Master Wizard like his grandfather, which was his bigger aspiration throughout the entire
Yes.
show. And Elena has been encouraging him to achieve that.
Absolutely.
Oh
Just
gosh, it's a really great conclusion to his arc.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, it just hit me now because I was mentioning earlier 4 is a sacred number in Mesoamerica. 4 amigos.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Just power in 4s. There you go. And then Elena moves on to Issa and proclaims she is Royal Inventor Baby Girl. She seriously deserves this position. Issa has proven to be more than just a kid genius. She integrated seamlessly into the team and demonstrated incredible leadership.
Mhm.
She really deserves this. So yay, Issa!
Yay!
And now Elena is finally ready to pick her first dance partner, and she chooses, drumroll please, Mateo de Alba.
Ah!
No. She chooses Abuelo.
Yes.
The best first dance partner in all of Avalor, and
Mhm.
this is just so sweet and so touching. And this is just so seriously father-daughter vibes, and like, pass us the tissues. This
Mhm.
was so like emotional. But he did really give us a scare with the whole weak feral thing. Oh my lord. We were like freaking out like, Francisco, no! They can't do this, no.
Not in the last scene. Come on, guys. Oh.
Yo, you gotta love how he picked her abuelo because he was the one that they were singing the very first song of the of the season 1. Ready to rule, and now he believes she's ready to rule, and he's been the one supporting her and giving her the wisdom throughout it. So,
Mhm.
oh gosh, it's perfect.
Absolutely.
Of course, he gets the first dance.
Yes, and it's so fitting, and yeah, it would have been it's exactly what needed to happen, and so I love it. So cue the music, we have Guiding Light. Francisco wrote a song for Elena. And I love that they got in one last guitar. And it wasn't just Francisco. We got Isa and Luisa. I didn't even know Luisa could play guitar. Francisco and Marlena. And it's Elena's own personal little, like, guitar mariachi group. Even though they're not singing like mariachis, but it reminds me of their little dance in Dia de las Madres. So anyway, it was just so sweet. And Elena was so excited the way she covered her mouth and was like, so sweet. But Guiding Light, guys, for me, this is arguably the best song in the series. I love this song. I love the words and how it talks about, Elena talks about how, she got lost over and over again, but her loved ones around her found her every time she was lost, and how they are the ones that guide her through the night sky, and they sing back to her that she's the one that taught them how to fight and how to stand up and she was their guiding light. So it's really just a super beautiful, like, sentiment all around, and it's mutual, and it really also, I think, shows her growth from, again, I keep going back to first day of rule, but, where she was just like, I'm ready to rule now. I got this. And then even on the first anniversary where she's saying, I've got it down. I've got this ruling thing under control. I got this. But now it's not just Elena. She has learned to work as part of a team. She has learned to take advice and to seek advice. And she's also learned that she is not the end-all be-all of anything. Like, she just, she's a leader. She's a true leader. And so I think that's really, really beautiful. And so now for a little bit of fun, look at all those cute couples. like, do you think they could have, like, teased more ships in 2 minutes? Like, how many can they tease? Like, we had Gabe and Naomi, who danced beautifully. Naomi was quite eager, if you ask me. And Gabe is like, what's happening? But he goes along with it. Alonzo, of course, after all of the, oh yes. I can't believe that I didn't put that in there. I'm sorry. Anyway, Malonzo, which was to be expected, after everything they went through. Like, I actually really loved seeing them fight together and preen in the mirror together. But now they're dancing together, and they do it so well. And then Donia and Julio, which is really fun. Like, the whole little fan thing. Oh, my goodness. Issa and Prince James, like, how cute was that? And then Antonia and Ixalan, which was really, really fun. I think we all...
One of the fandom favorites.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Distracted, but I dig it.
It was great.
Quite possibly the best tease they could have ever given us. Like, I mean, besides the fact that, like, the voice actors both in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So Nine-Nine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, girls who fight together stay together. So it had to happen here.
I was impressed.
Absolutely. Yeah. Ixalan, I think she was impressed. So yay. Go Antonia. And then, I don't know, Esteban doing the, I don't know, what do you want to call that dance? I don't know. That was fun. It was fun to see him let loose. Esteban does not let loose. So, that was very cool. Especially at a royal function, Like, that was fun. He was getting down with his funky self.
Reminded me of, like, a line from I think it was Dreamcatchers.
Mm-hmm.
Where he goes like, I'm a minute of civility, like, I don't do battles. I'm like, can you do a breakdance battle?
Right? Rap.
I think you can do rap battle.
Yes.
The battles are there now, so
Yeah.
It's out there now.
Oh, that'd be great. And then last but not least, we have Mateo and Carla. And I thought that this moment was actually a really cute, like, it was a fun full circle moment of their little, I don't know, rivalry arc. I don't know. It started with Carla as, like, this manipulative person who really hurt him and hurt everyone way back when. But, now they had this cute friendship moment. They bumped heads and they looked apologetically at each other. And, I just thought that was really sweet. And now they can go on and do whatever. Magic, whatever. But we see...
Magic buddies.
Yes, magic buddies. I mean, I still ship Rafa and Victor, so they're going to be brother and sister someday. I don't know.
I love
But we see Elena notice Mateo dancing all alone with wild abandon. He is just so enthusiastic, and she smiles so brightly as she's telling Zuzo she's ready for day 2. And we see Carla just kind of shrug and just be like, if you can't beat him, join him. And she joins in the mayhem, which I think really also goes to show that, she's really like tossed her old life away. And so they've definitely come full circle from the lies and manipulation to more of an easy friendship and camaraderie. And, I really like that. It'll be interesting to see what stories the fandom comes up with in the future for them.
I can't believe it. It's the friendship, the family feelings, the reckless abandon as they celebrate.
Mhm.
It's so beautiful. Elena is queen and she's surrounded by her loved ones who have been there by her side, and they will continue to be. She has the respect of the fellow kingdoms. You even see Hector bowing down to her, who is, this arrogant person, but she actually brings the best out of everyone. So even the most arrogant of rulers. You got her Esteban. He also bowed down at her. Then you got wait, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, you also got Esteban bowing down to her in respect. She has grown into such a beautiful ruler. So yeah, she has everyone by her side. She is strong. She is ready to rule, and it is such a beautiful sight. Viva la reina, our Elena, and she will always shine so bright.
Absolutely.
Should we give this episode like 100 out of 10?
Yes, 100. Yes, absolutely. It's so beautiful. It was such a good ending to this current story. And as they mentioned in the very first song of the episode, Elena is going to start a new journey. And what that journey holds, I suppose, will be alive in our imaginations for many years to come.
Yeah.
So now that we close this chapter of Elena's life, let's talk about our favorite parts. Lady C?
Oh man, it was all so good. But I think my most favorite part of this was Esteban and Elena's song, Never Too Late. Like, oh my gosh, that was the most emotional, heart-achingly beautiful song I have ever heard. Like, their voices together, the words, the feels, the message, and the parallels. I literally cried.
Yes.
But, oh mama, speaking of duets, it was just one
course.
thing. Oh my god, like I never negative Nancy, but there's just one thing that made me so upset was like in the whole entire series, there was no like do it with Elena and Mateo. I could cry. But that aside, I honestly just was so impressed with this episode, from everything from the legends and lore to the animation, songs, the music, the voice acting, just absolutely everything. Yay! Clapping from New Zealand. Well done,
Yay.
guys. Woo.
Yes. All right, Lady A.
Okay, so my favorite part would have to be, it's really hard, but I think I'm gonna have to say just seeing everyone come back together at the very end, kind of like for a last finale thing, and just being able to be reminded of all the past episodes. I think that was a really cool thing to see, and I really like the nostalgia of it all. But I also just like, of course, I'm sure like everyone else is saying, just the redemption arc for Esteban, and that he and Elena get to finally reconcile, because that was just so sweet, and I loved all the family moments there. So overall, though, it was just super good and emotional, and I loved every minute of it. And so I wish it was longer, but I think it was a good finale overall.
Yes, thank you. All right, Lady G.
This all round was a really good finale. It was a perfect balance of feelings, adventure, the beautiful dynamics that the show has offered us, all the little details about the Mesoamerican culture that Kika analyzed really beautifully for all of us. And yeah, just there you can't easily pick, but of course, knowing me, you obviously get it that I just love the moment of forgiveness between Elena and Esteban and them working together. It's the moment I have been waiting for so long. You can't imagine. You have heard me crying in this podcast after all. Yeah, it was everything I could have wanted and more. I loved the conclusion in all the character arcs and the relationship between them. And oh my gosh, I have to say that I enjoyed the Seido Awesome so much. Like, guest stars aside, I love their designs, and that song was also really catchy. Of course, all the songs were catchy. I love all of them. Never Too Late tugged on my heartstrings. Oof. And also, one last thing I want to mention is how I have been watching Sophia the First when I was like 14, around that time, but then, started watching Elena of Avalor. I kind of forgot about it. Not that I don't know, I didn't love the show, they're just very different from one another. But then you have this beautiful cameo with these models they had to like redo 5 times or so, according to Craig Gerber. And I think they did a really good job. At first, it might feel a bit weird because you're used to the other art style, and it feels weird to see Sophia and her family like that. But then if you watch it, it's really well adapted to the style of the show. And seeing the two princesses dancing together, it kind of feels like a farewell from Craig Gerber and the Everell. And that really touched me. How, oh, thank you for these beautiful stories, and these beautiful princesses, giving us hope and empowering us.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Lady K, Kika, what was your favorite part?
Oh, I guess I'm in the same boat as with Georgia here, because yeah, it's hard to pick a favorite, and there's so much, and the music, the yeah, it's hard because it kind of goes all the way back to how I got into the series, because as a Latina, this is the first Disney Latina princess we've had. So to see so much of what I know, like so much of what I experienced as a kid growing up with my family in Mexico, visiting my family in Mexico, and just seeing those aspects represented, from the food to the music, to the just the way they dress. It brings back so many memories from my visits with family. So, and in the end, the show is about family. So to have that all culminate in the end with everyone coming together would definitely be like the tie to my other favorite part, which is, of course, it would have to be the connection between Esteban and Elena with the Hero twins, because again, history influences kind of what we do, and we learn from it, and we can take it a step further and give something to the audience to learn from and propel forward again into the future. So my favorite would be the end scene with everyone together and Esteban and Elena finally coming together as the hero twins or the hero cousins of Avalor.
Beautiful.
Absolutely. Beautiful. All right. As for me, my favorite part, man, that's so hard. Like the whole thing. I know that's not a favorite part. It's like my favorite hour and 7 minutes. But seriously, I am a sucker for happy endings. I love conclusions, and I loved seeing all of the amigos, because I have a soft spot for all of the amigos, and with Issa too, particularly in season 3, just watching them come together and grow. And they've all had incredible growth and fascinating story arcs, and seeing them all, to include Elena, reach their potential. And this is just another beginning for them all. Today, they received their new roles, and tomorrow they will start a new day in those roles, and who knows what can happen. There's so many possibilities, and I just absolutely love that. Plus just all the happy feels and the sad feels, and just really the feels. I like feels. and then also I have we do, and I have to mention the music, both the songs, which were just incredible. I love them all, but also the background music was just the score was just fantastically done, well done. It was beautiful, and it totally deserved 100% the full orchestra effect. Like, chef's kiss, man. Awesome. So, yes, agreed. So, with that in mind, all good things must come to an end, but I think that's it for now. So, I'd like to thank you, Kika. Thank you. Like, what amazing insight into Mesoamerican legends and lore. And we just thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and your opinions and your insights. That was fantastic.
Hey, Kika!
Thank you so much for having me over, you
Of
guys.
course. We'll definitely have to do it again, because, you know, there's a lot more lore to talk about, and more than the silly things that I've pulled off of Wikipedia in the past. So we cannot wait for you to join us next time. So once again, thank you so much for sharing, and thank you, ladies, for being so amazing. And thank you to our listeners who are literally all over the world. You guys are fantastic. We can't wait for you to join us again next time. And yes, there will be a next time. The series might be over, but the podcast princesses are going to press on. So keep an eye out for our regular episode reviews that will be starting up again shortly. In the meantime, check us out on Twitter or Instagram for news, fun games, and resources you will not want to miss. And make sure you never miss an episode by clicking on that little subscribe button on YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, and Spotify. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us some feedback. We absolutely love hearing from you guys. So, until next time, wings up, amigos. Bye.
Bye. Bye.